If you're building a 3D printer, chances are you'll be using these. These are LM8UU linear bearings. Now, these are cheap and easy to find, but are usually pretty low quality. A lot of these will bind, will be really gritty, or have a lot of resistance to them when moving. So we don't want that, and we don't want to have to buy like 60 of these to find, the 10 or 12 that we need for our 3D printers. So what we can do to fix this is you want to start with your bearing that's having issues, obviously. You want to get a piece of smooth rod. You want to get two knotty parrots and a tube of lithium grease. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put about a pea-sized drop directly onto your smooth rod with a paper towel. You want to kind of smooth it over. You want a thin film, but you don't really want to have any globs. I've already done that here, so I'm not going to do it again and make more of a mess. So you're going to take your bearing and you're going to slide it onto your rod. Now, see if I can get a good, see if you can hear the grittiness there. So it's a little gritty, not so not so great. I've actually already done this once. It's not as bad, but we can make it better. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply pressure in several different directions while moving the bearing up and down. Now, the reason we're doing this is because inside of these bearings are little balls called ball bearings that in a perfect world, they're perfectly smooth, perfectly round, don't have any high spots or burrs. But we've bought the really cheap LM8UU bearings off of eBay or Amazon or Alibaba or nameless other sites, and they're not perfectly smooth. These little balls aren't perfectly smooth. So by putting pressure on it, we're going to force those balls to rotate. And because they're rotating, they'll rub up against each other and knock off any high spots. Now, I'd recommend doing this with a piece of spare smooth rod. You don't have to, but I'd recommend it just so you don't leave any scratches on. Don't bite me on your rod, but that's completely up to you. So you're going to put pressure on it, like you're trying to bend the rod, and then you're going to move your bearing up and down. And you want to try to find the rough spots. So when you move this up and down, so like for example right here, I notice it binds right here. So that means that there's a bearing right there that has a high spot. So I want to focus on that spot right there and apply pressure in different directions and move it back and forth until you start to feel that resistance go away. You continue to do this up and down the rod, and it may take 30, 40 seconds, up to maybe even a couple minutes for each rod. And you're just trying to knock off all those high spots. And you may notice if you put a little too much of the white lithium grease on your smooth rod, you may notice it start to darken in color. Part of that is the oil that's coming out of the bearing itself, and part of that is the metal shavings from the high spots that we're wearing down. I also recommend doing this with a hardened smooth rod if you have one, just so you don't wear into your smooth rod as much. But kind of a standard junk steel rod should do the trick. But so let me do this for a few seconds, try to knock off all those high spots. See, now we get a nice smooth bearing. It should kind of fall on its own. We don't have any wiggle on it, so it's not going to move or create artifacts in our 3D prints, which is good, and it falls on its own. So, oops, a little bit of binding, but like I said, these are cheap, and you kind of expect that. So, yep. So now we have a nice smooth bearing. Broke the bindings, smooth it up, and now we should get good, smooth, glossy 3D prints from it. So happy making, enjoy your day, and enjoy your 3D printer.